In just a short time, MGM, a $10.5 billion corporation, laid off over 800 managers, froze all reinvestment activities, and caused thousands of employees to lose their jobs. Behind the dazzling lights of Las Vegas lies a silent crisis. Empty hotel rooms, deserted casinos, and the people who once ran the city that never sleeps, now sleeping in their own cars. MGM was once the kingdom of the American dream, an empire born from Hollywood and dominating Las Vegas. But now it has become a symbol of the downfall of an era of extravagance, when greed, debt, and illusion brought an entire city to its knees. Why could such a vast empire collapse so silently? And is this just the beginning of a deeper earthquake in the American entertainment economy? Join us as we delve into the investigation, where the dazzling lights are merely a facade for a chilling truth behind. Nearly a century ago, MGM's Roaring Lion logo opened classic films like The Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, and Tom and Jerry. Each roar is a promise from Hollywood. This is the dream, and you're about to live in it. At that time, MGM wasn't just making movies, they were producing belief. They made the whole world believe that America is a place where anything can come true, whether it's a rainbow or an illusion. However, that very belief has been valued in dollars, shares, and corporate bonds. By the late 1960s, MGM was no longer making money from film. Chairman Kirk Kerkorian, a bold player in the financial market, looked at the MGM brand and saw something else, a logo that could be resold across all luxury industries. In 1973, MGM opened the MGM Grand Las Vegas, the world's largest hotel at the time, costing billions of dollars, with the ambition of turning Hollywood dreams into real-life Las Vegas. In the Nevada desert, Hollywood is reborn with LED lights and credit cards, but miracles only exist on the screen. When the films that once made millions cry are replaced by unmanned gaming tables, MGM has officially sold its soul for revenue. At one point, MGM owned over 30% of the hotel room market share in Las Vegas. Now most of them are empty rooms. International visitors decreased by over 13%, and middle-class American visitors, the backbone of Vegas tourism, decreased by nearly 1 million annually. A night at the MGM Grand can now cost up to $700, which is higher than the average weekly income of an American worker. From a place that once welcomed everyone, Vegas is now only open to the select few who can afford the luxury. It's a painful paradox. The city built to make ordinary people feel special now turns them into outsiders looking in at a bright glass. If Hollywood is where stories are born, then Las Vegas is where stories are sold. A symbol of creativity has become a brand of ostentation. Every logo, every light, every bell in the casino no longer tells a story. It only counts money. And while revenue charts, quarterly reports, and dividends are still published with fanfare, what's no longer visible is the light in the eyes of the workers. What do you think turned a symbol that once made Hollywood into a soulless commercial machine? Was it the entrepreneur's mistake, or a true reflection of a society accustomed to valuing everything by profit? And when dreams are commodified, greed becomes a tool of governance. It was precisely there, within those seemingly reasonable numbers, that the seeds of collapse began to sprout. All empires fall, but few would have guessed that an icon like MGM would collapse because of the very thing that made it rich: greed. After the pandemic, Las Vegas is expected to revive. MGM, with over 35,000 hotel rooms and dozens of casinos along the Strip, is launching a $0.5 billion investment plan to revive the dream of luxury that once captivated the world. They upgraded Mandalay Bay, Luxor, MGM Grand, transforming each resort into a sanctuary of experiences. But what they forgot wasn't money, it was people. In just 6 months, the glamorous picture began to crack. The numbers are the clearest evidence. Non-casino revenue, meaning food and beverage, entertainment, and shopping, decreased by 8 to 12%. The number of tourists decreased by nearly 1 million people, equivalent to the entire population of Las Vegas disappearing from the streets. Meanwhile, rising operating, energy, and interest costs mean that every dollar of profit comes at the expense of dozens of jobs. Amidst that crisis, the leadership chose the easiest, but also the most ruthless path. Cut people. Keep the numbers. In just 1 week, over 800 managers were fired. Behind the cold thank you email are empty apartments and cars turned into temporary sleeping quarters. The hotels were still lit up, but the hallways were empty, as if Vegas was breathing its last. A longtime employee said, "I used to help customers win millions of dollars. Now I'm just trying to win the battle with the rent bill, and it's in moments like these that one realizes this game was never fair." When reporting a quarterly loss, MGM chose to optimize costs, but instead of cutting the waste above, they cut below. A shareholder bonus remains unchanged, while thousands of employees are forced to leave the city of dreams. From the outside, Vegas still shines brightly. But if you look from the back door of the hotel, you'll see rows of RVs and makeshift tents, where the person who once served cocktails to the elite is now looking for a place to charge their phone overnight. Those who keep the city lit can no longer afford to live under that light. Many economists believe that MGM didn't seem to collapse due to losses, but because it lost confidence. Greed has eroded the very fabric of an empire once built on art and dreams. A company that only sees profit will sooner or later become blind to reality. What once made MGM great wasn't its casinos or hotels, but its ability to make people believe in the beautiful. But when that trust was put on the line, traded for a few percentage points of profit, everything was over. What do you think is more concerning for a business? Losing money due to mistakes or going bankrupt due to greed? And when even icons like MGM fall by their own hand, is any business truly safe? When greed tears apart the soul of an icon, the consequences are not just in the books. It's spread throughout the city, from the empty corridors of MGM to the silent streets of Vegas. And in the coming minutes, let's delve into the hidden corners that the press and media have never wanted you to see. From a barren desert strip was transformed into the entertainment center of the world. A place where weary souls could rediscover a sense of true living for a few days. But now that city is slowly fading, not because of a power outage, but because it's running out of energy from within. In just 6 months, Vegas lost nearly 1 million visitors, equivalent to the entire population of a small state like Montana, disappearing from the streets. Non-casino revenue, including food and beverage, shows and shopping, decreased by 8 to 12%. The resorts that were once vibrant all night are now only open on weekends. A city built to never sleep is falling asleep due to its own operating costs. A cup of coffee at the MGM Grand now costs nearly $9, which is equivalent to the price of a small family's breakfast. 2 slices of pizza and 2 sodas can easily cost up to $50. And a standard room, once advertised as accessible luxury, now costs up to $700 per night, nearly equal to the average weekly income of an American employee. Vegas was once the dream of the middle class, people who saved all year just to burn off their youth once. Now they can only stand and watch the lights from afar. The city of light is reflecting darkness. If you walk down the strip at 2 a.m., you'll still see lights. But look closely. The hotel corridors are empty, the bar is silent, and there are fewer than half the number of staff compared to before. Some restaurants only serve 3 days a week, and some entertainment venues have closed entirely for cost-saving maintenance. The lights are still on, but they're no longer there to welcome anyone. They only exist because Vegas can't bear the thought of turning them off. And the scariest part? The people here are starting to get used to that emptiness. There was a time when Vegas was built so that everyone could enter, whether they were workers, office employees, or millionaires. But in the race for high-end customers, corporations have forgotten their roots. Luxury experience packages are constantly increasing in price, while general discounts are disappearing. As one viewer commented, Vegas has priced itself out of the tourism market. They are suppressing the very thing that sustains them. It's a vicious cycle of greed. When everything is valued in money, true values, joy, experiences, people, gradually become worthless. A vibrant city is melting in silence. Vegas didn't collapse overnight. It's gradually losing each light, each smile, each dream. Empty blackjack tables, canceled shows, departing staff, all like pieces of glass falling from the reflecting mirror of the American dream. And amidst the music still echoing from the hotel's external speakers, you could hear another sound. The sound of a city wondering, am I still worthy of trust? What do you think about a city that was once a symbol of joy, but now only keeps its lights on to hide the emptiness. Can Vegas be revived? Or is this the final chapter of The City That Never Sleeps? As the city lights fade, human darkness becomes apparent. Behind the opulent towers of MGM, thousands of workers are struggling to survive. Let's listen to their story. From Hollywood to Las Vegas, the name MGM was once a symbol of power, creativity, and luxury. But as the lights dimmed, what remained wasn't regret, but a classic lesson in a business destroying itself. Step by step, decision by decision. For nearly a century, MGM was Hollywood's money machine, producing over 1,000 films, winning 5 Best Picture Oscars, and creating a multi-billion-dollar cultural empire. But then, as the numbers in the books became more important than the stories on the screen, MGM began selling off the very thing that made it valuable. In 1986, in what is considered the strangest deal in Hollywood history, MGM sold a large portion of its classic film library to Ted Turner. Just a few years later, Turner used that film library to build Cartoon Network, TCM, and a pay TV platform, transforming the MGM legacy into a new empire, while MGM was left with only its logo and debts. They sold their souls, then were surprised to find they had no breath left. That was the first mistake, when businesses trade long-term value to patch up short-term losses. As it entered the 2000s, MGM was no longer a film studio, but a financialized corporation. Instead of investing in creativity, MGM borrowed over $4 billion to pay out dividends, a large portion of which went into the pockets of major shareholders. The company was heavily in debt, and by 2010, MGM officially went bankrupt, owing over $4 billion, enough to buy back the entire classic film library they had once sold cheaply. But instead of learning the lesson, MGM continued the old model: borrow to invest, then cut to balance. When the tourism and entertainment industries declined, they responded by cutting staff, stopping projects, and postponing upgrades. Every time there's a crisis, MGM cannibalizes itself to survive another quarter. That was the second mistake, when management turned into a game of cutting back instead of building up. It doesn't stop there. MGM's financial system is like a tower built of mirrors, dazzling but ready to shatter with the slightest touch. MGM's debt-to-EBITDA ratio is currently nearly 4.4 times, a red flag in the hospitality industry. And to reassure the market, they spent $150 million buying back shares, a common psychological tactic used by companies worried about their stock price falling. I thought it was a smart financial strategy, but it was just an expensive cup of coffee to hide prolonged fatigue. While investors were pleased with the short-term report, thousands of employees were laid off, numerous projects were postponed indefinitely, and customers gradually lost confidence. They forget that trust cannot be recognized in accounting, but once lost, its value collapses immediately. MGM was once a cultural film studio. Now it's just a corporation that owns hotels and casinos, where revenue is measured by the speed of slot machines spinning. They transformed the roaring lion symbol, which represents art, into the brand. For their booking tickets and promotional campaigns, when a brand loses its soul, every marketing campaign becomes short-term magic. Just like Vegas, the city that's always bright, but that light is just a layer of makeup hiding the real exhaustion. In the eyes of many analysts, MGM is not just a business story, it is a metaphor for the times, a society that measures success by indicators and speed, where all values can be converted into money, including heritage and people. MGM's collapse isn't just corporate mismanagement, it's cultural amnesia. A financial expert commented, "This is not just a management mistake, it's a forgetting of the very essence of the American dream. Because that dream wasn't built on debt or stocks. It was built on the belief that humans can create something better and live from that very thing." And what do you think about a brand that was once the soul of Hollywood, now becoming a soulless profit machine? Is the American dream truly collapsing along with symbols like MGM, or is it simply transforming and adapting in a different world? When the roaring lion empire was choked by its own greed, the true face of Vegas light was revealed. Not prosperity, but thousands of people straining to hold on to it. Every night, Vegas shines brightly with millions of light bulbs. But few know that some of those lights are lit by people who now have no home to return to. Those who once served in opulent casinos, hotels, and resorts, where luxury never sleeps, are now living in cars, pitching makeshift tents under the neon lights they once illuminated. Because when the MGM empire made massive cuts, the light continued to shine, but those who kept the flame burning were left in the dark. When MGM announced the layoff of 800 managers and thousands of lower-level employees, it was just a number in the financial report. But behind every number is a life, a father who lost his job, a mother whose hours were cut, a young person who no longer had money for rent. The Nevada Department of Labor estimates that in just 3 months, over 4,300 jobs in the hospitality sector have vanished. That's equivalent to an entire large-scale hotel on the Strip disappearing overnight. The employees who once stood behind the luxurious check-in counters are now pitching tents in the Fremont Street parking lot. Those who once served drinks at Sky Bar are now lining up to receive food assistance from charitable organizations. Las Vegas is the city of service. Over 60% of the local GDP comes from the hotel, restaurant, and entertainment industries. That means that every time a corporation like MGM cuts back, the entire social system is shaken. Wages are frozen, working hours have been reduced, and housing allowances haven't kept pace with rent prices, which have already increased by nearly 30% compared to pre-pandemic levels. A one-bedroom apartment in Central Vegas now costs over $600 per month, while the average income for service workers is only about $2,200. That number needs no further explanation. Just imagine, every month they work under the lights of multi-billion-dollar hotels, but when their shift ends, they have to sleep in an old car parked right next to the building they served. Social experts call this phenomenon the Vegas disconnect, when the gap between the value creators and the beneficiaries of that value has never been so wide. Those frontline workers who were once the lifeblood of the service industry are now shadows in the very city they built. They didn't speak up, fearing they would lose what little remained: health insurance, the chance to be rehired, or simply the belief that things will get better. But in reality, things are getting worse every day, and each time MGM makes cuts, they cite the same phrase: optimizing operational efficiency. Optimize by replacing people with numbers. Effective by sacrificing the people who made that business meaningful. Vegas is still bright, still dazzling in every postcard and promotional video. But stepping off the Strip, just a few blocks away, are vacant lots where hundreds of workers are temporarily housed in their vehicles, in the middle of summer when temperatures exceed 40 degrees Celsius. The dazzling lights reflected off the hood of the car, creating a parallel Vegas, where the miracle makers were no longer allowed to dream. Las Vegas was built by the service industry. Now, the creators of that service are struggling to survive. It's not just an economic collapse, it's the moral collapse of a system. Do you think it's fair that the people who keep this city alive are the first to be abandoned when it struggles? And can Vegas truly recover if the people who once lit it up have nowhere to return? When the firekeeper becomes homeless, the city not only loses manpower, but also its soul. And that's when Vegas began to face its harshest reality: the silent meltdown, the silent collapse of the city of lights. Las Vegas is still bright, but that light is no longer warm. MGM still exists, but its roar is now just an echo of the past. And perhaps the scariest thing isn't the collapse, but when everything still works but has no soul. What do you think? Is this an inevitable cycle where all symbols eventually fade? Or is it a wake-up call that if we only chase profits, sooner or later, any dream will turn into numbers? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you love in-depth analyses of economics, cultural symbols, and fallen empires, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next stories. The entire video content is intended for analysis, educational, and informational purposes only, and does not represent any financial organization or viewpoint. All data and facts are compiled from reliable public sources. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next videos.